Dr. Jeffrey Halstead has been Canandaigua's hometown dentist for more than 35 years, offering routine dental care as well as cosmetic dentistry, implants, and dentures by their highly trained and experienced staff. Visit them online at canandaiguadentistry.com or find them on Facebook and Instagram.
FL1 betting preview here on FL1.com. Paul Russo, Jim Senecropi, and Kyle Evans here with you as always. Gentlemen, end of the week. Nice little extended holiday weekend awaits us. But first, before we get to that, recap our picks from last week. Any other things that have popped up on the radar for us? So we'll jump into all that. How's the week been for you guys?
Well, for me, I've been, sick for a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's been good. I'm excited, for this extended break. Football on, a lot of football on. Tonight's a big night for Syracuse. Basketball and football going on, and so been busy.
Yeah, Christmas is upon us, and that means the time to relax, hopefully with some family and some food, and a lot of sports on TV. I mean, that's something that's changed over the past even 5 to 10 years now. It used to be like, a couple NBA games might be on Christmas Day, but this year, supposedly because, the way things are falling, and Christmas being on Monday, full slate of games on Christmas Eve, which is something that's way different than it used to be, and then got games on Monday, got college bowl games. There's a lot going on this weekend if you like to bet. And, honestly, if you're going to be hanging around, a lot of people just hanging around, having some food and drink, on Sunday and Monday, why not have the games on?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely pretty cool. I mean, I know the bowl games this year, this is like the second or third year now in a row that the Hawaii Bowl's off of Christmas Eve. That was always a nice Christmas Eve staple, coming home from my aunt's house, and the one game on was the Hawaii Bowl. But that's on Saturday night exclusively now.
And, you don't want to compete with the NFL.
Right.
People do usually, a lot of people wind down their Christmas Eve celebrations around, 9 o'clock or so, and head home. And, if you don't have young kids and a lot of stuff to put together, like me, I'm going to be looking for something to watch. And you know what? Second half of Broncos Patriots.
Yeah. I'll say it's a nice later in the night start, typical, like Sunday night football-ish start time at 8:15 for that game Saturday
And
night.
on Christmas Day, 8 or Christmas night, 8:18 kick for 49ers Ravens, which is honestly one of the best games of the season.
Right. Yeah. So, a lot to look forward to this weekend. Let's, before we get any further, take a look back at Week 15 though, and again, not a fully banner week for anybody involved here, but at least this time around, nobody was completely red, and we all at least had one winner. Or in the case of Kyle, you went 1-1-1.
The Jets just completely didn't show up. What was it, 30-0 final?
Yeah.
So that was probably my worst pick of the year. But the other games, Angles went into overtime, right, with the Vikings. So
that was a push.
I've been riding the Broncos all season, and I didn't really love the spot last week going to Detroit, their third straight road game. But I like getting the 4.5, but it wasn't close, obviously. Chiefs game was pretty much a walk. And how about the Falcons, losing to the Panthers? Jeez.
a very low-scoring game.
Yeah, it's just hard to believe.
Yeah, that game ended up being a bit more wet than even, at least the forecast when we convened last week at this time even predicted in that game. So
With like 5 fans in the stands. Did you see the shots of that?
45-cent tickets.
Nobody was there.
So I've been dipping down into my bankroll here this past couple weeks on this show, giving back some points here, but it's not easy. And then the lines makers get better and better as the season goes on. So it's not. I don't love many games this week.
Yeah, there are a lot of tough ones ahead, which we'll get to obviously here. I was surprised 49M just one was down to Howard at any point and then just couldn't pull away. They actually came from behind, so that sucked for me. Colts ended up being a bit of a slamish dunk, and then the Giants reverted back to the mean, I guess. So
College
wasn't
games,
great.
my college picks last week, which I decided not to go with, did pretty well. Fresno State. And anybody see the Old Dominion
I did. Oh,
game in the Toasty Bowl?
famous Toaster Bowl. Jim, now let me tell you something. Now, I have one big gripe with that game, actually, that has nothing to do with betting, although I guess it kind of could. So ESPN, I don't know if you guys know, I don't know if any of the listeners, viewers know, ESPN owns that bowl game because it's formerly the Bahamas Bowl. It's literally an ESPN-owned bowl game. ESPN moved the game in a third down in overtime without warning to ESPN2 so they could give you 2 full hours of pregame for Monday Night Football.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I cannot imagine. Now, I was stunned. Like, I was just like, because I was watching it. I ended up, and this is the beauty of mobile betting, I live-lined Western Kentucky in that game, and turned out to be really great in that favor.
What point did you do that?
When they were down 28-14, I got them at plus 470 on the money line.
Old Dominion got up to 28-0 start. It was like they were 4.5-point favorites, I think, for the game. And, man, bad beat. Western Kentucky comes storming back, and they win in overtime. Yikes.
Yeah. There was a lot of things. This is one of the things that, I kind of talked about last week, but that was a game that fully showed what I meant by it. You really have to pay attention to these games going into them because Old Dominion, and this is one of those weird things about the transfer portals and stuff like that. At the end of the year, Old Dominion did not allow players going into the portal to play that game. Western Kentucky allowed players, if they were going into the portal, to play that game. And push came to shove, they ended up making a difference in the end.
In the end,
Western
but
Kentucky.
man, ODU got out to a 28-0 start. I mean,
Right.
geez, how do you blow a 28-point lead?
Yeah.
Ask the Atlanta Falcons.
Ooh.
Especially if the Fresh Toasty Bowl title's on the line.
Famous toast.
Famous
Hell yeah.
Toastery or whatever.
Yes.
What is that?
It is a breakfast chain in the Charlotte area.
Okay.
Yeah. And they got to do snow angels with toast. The Hilltoppers. Big Red, the Toppers. Love it. So yeah, there's a lot of bowl games coming up, and that have been. I was surprised. I want to touch on that Fresno State game though, Jim, because you called that from a mile away. I was very skeptical of Fresno State. The final month for them has been rough. Their head coach is out due to a health issue right now. It's chaotic, and apparently there was behind-the-scenes stuff between the University of New Mexico, where the game is played, and New Mexico State.
Yeah, it was more a bet against New Mexico State than it was a bet for Fresno State.
Right. And for those who maybe don't know, apparently this New Mexico State rivalry is very much so alive and well. Jerry Kill was on the hunt, not to throw the putt in there, but he wanted answers, and I don't know if he's going to get them, but this chaos in that game ended up being between a school that had no bearing really on the game and bowl season, bowl mania. I have really nothing from this past week. It's been a good week bet-wise outside of the weekend. I've just been riding some college basketball nicely at this point. Not to say some stuff has come back to the mean a little bit there, but it's a really weird stretch of time right now where there's a lot of teams just kind of playing games, but get 1 or 2 more in before their conference schedule picks up within the next 7 to 10 days, and there's been some lopsided victories, a lot of interesting upsets, though. I know last night, for example, Providence and Marquette that was 2 nights ago now, I guess.
Seton Hall, UConn.
Seton Hall, UConn was last night, and that was an ass whooping. Seton Hall put on UConn, so.
And it's funny because I think, UConn was like a 8-point favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing in college basketball. If you're paying attention, now certainly UConn is probably the best team in the Big East, or at least one of them. But on any given night, in a conference game, you can't give that many points up to somebody. And you notice Kadari Richardson in that game lit it up. Former Syracuse guy.
Yeah, he's had an interesting journey because he was a guy who, when he first got down there, actually wasn't getting a ton of playing time either.
He's
if I recall.
not playing the NBA.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the only time you're going to see really big conference spreads, I think, at this point. is Big East if whoever's playing DePaul on a given night. I'll tell you what, in the ACC, and I'm not a big fan of them, but it does suck. But man, like Louisville has fallen completely off. Like that's just bad. And Notre Dame had a bad loss to the Citadel a couple nights ago as well. It's just some of these teams, if they're bad, they are apparently that bad.
Well, Louisville, yeah, they had some issues and they were kind of rebuilding at this point. So, but yeah, it's tough to. I mean, if you're going in and you're betting just on like name recognition, and you see like
you can't do
Louisville
that,
is giving points to like Northern Kentucky,
Yeah,
you know.
can't be doing that though at this point.
So
Kyle having no idea what we're talking about again as usual. Northern Kentucky trivia time, Kyle. Northern Kentucky, what's their mascot?
Don't put me on the spot.
the Norse.
The Norse. Jim is right on.
What about in the NHL? Anything
Yeah.
going on? You been any NHL
I
games?
haven't lately because, I don't know, player props are just so tough because I just feel like the NHL is probably now the hardest to bet on. Anything can happen at any point. But I did win an NBA bet last night.
Oh.
I did player props for that. I only won $40, but $40 is $40. So,
Only. I'd take $40.
Yeah.
nothing compared to Paul though. I guess Paul's been winning a lot more than I have.
It's been a nice week. I'm not going to sit here and boast, but it's been a nice week. Outside of the weekend, of course. But no, the one thing about the NHL that's interesting this year I've noticed is that the books are very much so promoting the goal in first 10, the gifts, I've noticed. And yeah, I don't know if it'd be one of those things where we have a few days. It might be one of those things where I take a deeper dive in it, but it seems like at least anytime I go that route, they don't hit, even though it's in theory a bet that should hit if you look at the money lines on a lot of these games. So
I'm going to save my
definitely
NHL
beware.
bet until playoff time,
Yeah.
right before the playoff starts. I'm going to put future bets on two of the longest shots in either conference, and I'm going to sit back and root for those teams.
about to say you had that system working last spring for that.
It seems like the odds are too high for it's like Kyle said, anybody can beat anybody, and then even in the playoffs, it's different than other sports.
Flyers are hot still. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, and the Sabres are terrible again, and they've beaten Boston, Toronto, Colorado, the Rangers, all the top teams, but they have 13 wins on the year and are at the bottom of the East. So this is what I mean. Hockey's tough to bet, especially if you're doing money line.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so I think on that note, we could probably move over to our picks for the weekend here. Kyle, I guess via 1-1-1, you had the best week, so the floor is yours if you want it.
Well, I'm going to start with tonight. I'm going to go with the Hot Rams,
Oh, okay.
minus 3.5 against the Saints at home. Matthew Stafford's been playing very well. I just don't think – I mean, maybe the Saints will hang in there into the fourth quarter, but I think in the end the Rams win this game by at least, the 4. So give me that.
I like the over.
Yeah, what is it, 45.5 now? I thought it dropped to.
I like the first half over at 22.5, and then I teased the overall over down to like around 39.5, I think, and then I parlayed that with Tyler Higbee plus 3.5 receptions, or 2.5.
Nice.
Either way, that's what I did.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go with the Cowboys to bounce back, plus 1.5. I know they haven't been a very good road team this year, but Dolphins still have a lot of injuries. Tyreek Hill hasn't practiced all week. The whole offensive line didn't practice yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw
Tyreek
that.
hasn't been practicing his football, but he apparently
Oh, boy.
has been practicing his procreation.
Yeah.
Three new paternity suits against him.
Yeah.
Yep. Always something with him.
He's on the who was it? Damn it. Why am I forgetting? Antonio Cromartie? Right? The guy for the Jets
Yeah.
who had like 20 kids with 20 different women or something like that.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
I think
Now
that's-
I'm recklessly speculating. Kyle, back to you.
All right. Yeah. So the final pick, I'm going to take Seattle minus 2.5 at the Titans. Obviously, Seattle, had that late come from behind victory. I just think they're in a good spot. They're still fighting for a wild card spot. The Titans are rolling with Ryan Tannehill this week.
Mm.
So, yeah, I just think Seattle. So there's my picks for the week.
Ryan Tannehill.
Seattle scares me just
Yeah.
because they played on Monday night and now they got a short turnaround. But, they do have more on the line than Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And they look good against the
Right.
Eagles, obviously.
Yeah. I, you want me to go or you?
Yeah, go ahead. I
All
got a number of picks here in case you
All
pick
right.
one of mine. I'll pick something else.
All right, one college game I'm doing this week, bowl game. Arkansas State -2.5 against Northern Illinois in the Camellia Bowl. MAC teams are not doing well once again in bowl games, so I'm going to do a slight fade on that and go with, you know what Arkansas State is anymore. They were one of the mascots who got changed up in the past decade. I guess they're the Red Hawks, I think, maybe now. Either way. Fading Northern Illinois and Rocky Lombardi, so handle that. Doing the Bengals -2 at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, another backup quarterback situation with Mason Rudolph.
I like that. No Jamar Chase, though.
Right.
But it's
Yeah,
all right.
but they didn't really have him last
Good
week
point.
either. So I'll roll there. I just think Pittsburgh is just. It's not so much I have so much faith in Cincinnati. I don't have the faith in Pittsburgh. And then
Why would you? They're terrible.
right. And
Even
then
Tomlin can't get this team together.
right. And then my final pick, I'm doing the Colts +1 at Atlanta. Again, I think it's more indication of how I feel about Atlanta than Indy. And, you know, to kind of piggyback off what you said at the jump, Jim, just not a lot of games to really get me excited this weekend spread-wise. So that's what I'm going with. You know, I don't know if I'm confident, but I got to be confident enough that they have to be my picks of the week. So there's that.
C.J. Stroud playing this week?
He is not.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
That's why the Browns have swung from being opening at 2.5-point dogs to now 3-point favorites, I believe.
Yeah, I got him at 2.5 actually as of maybe last night when I
That
was
works.
looking at this. But yeah, I'm going all NFL. Didn't have time to see who was playing and not playing for these college teams. I think next week, heading into New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, take a look at some of those games. But got the Lions -3 at the Vikings. It's a New Year's Eve game at 1 o'clock. Teams both have something to play for, but the Lions, I think everybody will agree, is a more legitimate postseason contender. They seem to bounce back with that win against the Broncos last week after really, not looking good for a month. And so I think that'll continue. The Vikings, again, are probably going with Mullins at quarterback.
Yep.
So you find this a lot, too, when a new guy comes in at quarterback, he looks good that first week. And then the next week they play a team that's now got tape on them. So anyways, I like the Lions. I'm willing to give 3 points. I got the Browns -2.5 at the Texans. Again, I've bet against the Browns a lot this year and lost, and they just seem to be able to win. And now they're fighting for a high seed, I suppose. Anything could happen still. Let's say they lose out, they might not make the playoffs, but they could get as high as a 3rd or 4th seed in the AFC. I like Flacco. I'll take Joe Flacco on that team as my quarterback, and
He shaved his beard, though.
that's fine. I heard that too today on some sports talk radio. I don't know why that would affect it, but I'll go with the Browns -2.5. Texans without C.J. Stroud just are not the same team. And then why not? Broncos -6.5 against the Patriots. I just have been riding the Broncos for most of the season after the horrible start, and last week I'm going to consider a blip on the radar. They're home again. And so the Patriots got to go all the way out there to Mile High Stadium. It's a big game for Denver. Denver can make the playoffs, but they're probably going to need to win out. But they do have a pretty easy schedule. And then those are my picks, but I also like the Niners, even giving 5 to the Ravens. Again, the Niners are going to be home. Potential Super Bowl preview maybe.
Yeah.
But the Niners look to me like the best team in football, and I think a lot of people would agree. And you also got there's some NFL MVP implications in that Niners-Ravens game, with Lamar Jackson going against Brock Purdy, and McCaffrey too, maybe an outside shot in MVP. You like to see it go to a quarterback usually, or I don't know what you like to see, but I think that quarterback in the NFL is the most important position, and so all things being equal, give it to a quarterback. And, season ended today. It's tough to argue against Brock Purdy.
Yeah. Well, Myles Garrett for MVP, defensive end. Why not?
One other thing, I was looking at the futures market right now, and the Broncos are plus 13,000 to win the Super Bowl. Now, I don't know if the Broncos are going to win the Super Bowl or not, but I do know that they got Russell Wilson at quarterback, Sean Payton. They're still, still receiving some negative sentiment from that horrible start to the season. But to me, they've shown me that that they can compete with just about anybody. And the AFC, well, they can. Who did they beat? They beat the back-to-back weeks, the Chiefs this year. And the week before that, they beat another top dog in the AFC.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Was it Miami? Yeah, I think it was.
No, they lost to Miami.
Oh, yeah, they lost.
That was a
by
70-20 game, yeah.
But regardless, they need some help to even make the playoffs. But again, plus 13,000 means $10 wins you $1,310.
Right.
A $10 bet. And I wouldn't ride it through the Super Bowl either. If they happen to make the AFC Championship game, I'd probably start hedging and hopefully get a few $100 out of the deal. But they got the Patriots and Chargers at home and then at the Raiders. They need to win all three of those. They could still get in losing one, but they probably need to win all three of those. If they do, their playoff chances are about 80%. They still need some help, but some teams that they're going against are playing each other, like the Browns and the Texans this week. The Colts are another team they got to contend with, the Bengals and the Steelers, the Bills. So it's still a little foggy AFC wildcard picture. Right. And just at those odds, I think they're the one team that maybe has a chance to make a surprising run.
Yeah. The run for Denver, by the way, in those AFC games, beat the Chiefs, beat the Bills, and beat the Browns all consecutively. Yeah. Before losing to the Texans at that point, but yeah.
Right. And then they blew, and then, yeah. So, like I say, this team comes to play. They got a good defense. They got an experienced quarterback. Why not I'm taking a shot, I don't want to bet the 49ers to win the Super Bowl at plus 200 right now. Right. I just don't.
Plus, like you said, I mean, that's the spot where, say they do get through wild card weekend, right? And they give you a decent enough payout that either you can cash out or you can hedge at that point and go the other way a little bit.
Yeah, that's how you do it with the futures. At least I think if you got a future running deep into the season with some big odds, you got to hedge it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. All right, so guess those are our picks as they stand then for at least the weekend anyway. So hopefully you aren't in Christmas red, you're in Christmas green for your bets this weekend. How about that? Nice little tie-in. Or I guess
I hope nobody's ruining their Christmas with a bad bet. I hope old little Tommy's still going to get something under the tree, even though you bet Old Dominion last week.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna go near that any more than I have. Unfortunately, there, plenty of stuff to go to. Hey, Syracuse in the Boca Bowl tonight. Who we got? How we feeling?
Syracuse by 6.
Oh, so you're saying that they cover too if you're in a state that allows it?
Yep.
All right.
I don't know. Is Fran Brown going to be there?
He could be there as a fan technically, but not on the sideline.
Fran Brown's in the building, then Syracuse by 40.
Love it.
Because what he's got going on, I've never seen anything like it.
First ever top 40 recruiting class in history for Syracuse.
It's just, it's wild.
Yeah.
And we're going to go into next season with a Heisman candidate as a quarterback, Kyle McCord. He was 11-1 at Ohio State this year, and now he's going to be Syracuse's starting quarterback. And we got all these 4- and 5-star recruits. We got these transfers. I mean, my God, what's next season going to be like?
Right. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Makes renewing the season tickets a little bit easier on my end. That's for sure. Cuse by $1 billion tonight. How about that? No,
I hope so.
Not like that. I think Syracuse by 10 though. Just Sounds like they're going to do the hybrid, not veer offense, but Dan Valeri as quarterback again, the tight end.
Yeah.
So
Should be real
Yeah.
exciting.
right. So
Um,
throw back the clock.
and then let's hope Syracuse can beat Niagara at 5 o'clock tonight.
Yes. Yeah. Looking forward to that. That will be
Tons of
exciting.
sports
Yeah.
from here on out. It's great, going to be a great weekend.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. I think that about does it.
Merry Christmas, you
Merry
guys.
Christmas.
Merry
Yeah,
Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you and everybody else out there. Be safe, be smart, have some fun, be merry, be bright, all the fun stuff. So we'll be back again next Thursday. Nice little brain fart I had there. We'll recap everything and have some more picks for everybody for Week 17 at that point. Crazy to think about.
And the college football playoff.
And the college football playoff. Yes. So enjoy, everybody. We will talk with everybody next week.
Finger licks one time.